Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Alicia Gogan if you are new, and if you're new, don't forget to subscribe because it's a good time over here. Today, I want to share with you guys a deep sleep routine that literally changed my life. So I compiled a list of 11 things that I have done to really optimize my sleep. These tips have helped me be able to fall asleep faster, rid anxiety, rid the overthinking that happens a lot at nighttime, and also to look forward to sleep. And quite frankly, I used to be somebody who didn't really look forward to sleep because I would be in my head a lot before I went to sleep. I kind of had that like sleep anxiety along with maladaptive daydreaming, which I am going to be talking about at the end of this video. Over the years, I realized just how sleep is so important to so many things in life. It's important for you to be able to wake up in the morning and have a great mood. It's important for you to have energy throughout the day. And if you're a part of my YouTube community, then you are somebody who wants to get a lot done in your day. You want to be energized, you have goals, you want to be able to be present in life. And even when it comes to fitness goals or health goals or mental health, healing in general, those things really do require us to sleep more than we even really think. And the first thing that I needed to fully understand, fully grasp, was that my night routine really started and was affected by the things that I was doing in the morning time throughout the day. So I want to talk about 4 things just to consider, just to be aware of, and then we'll go into the night routine and the structures and the things that I do to really help optimize sleep. So I am a Dr. Huberman girly, okay? Shout out to any of the girlies or the guys who listen or watch Dr. Huberman. He is a neuroscientist. I believe he's a neuroscientist. Whatever. He is our dad, okay? He is telling us to sleep. He is telling us not to drink alcohol. He is telling us to get sunlight, specifically in the morning. Sunlight in the morning is so beneficial to help you get in a healthy circadian rhythm. Our circadian rhythm is basically a 24-hour clock that we move through. That is what the world moves through. The sun rises, the sun sets every single day or night. Now, obviously, sometimes the sun doesn't really be coming out too much, especially in Toronto. The sun barely comes out. But still, getting sunlight in the morning has been shown to really help reset and get you on a healthy circadian rhythm so that when it's time to go to sleep at night, our brains, our chemicals in our bodies are releasing melatonin so that we can go to sleep naturally. So doing your best to get outside in the morning, even if the sun is not out, it has been shown that you will still get some UV if you go outside. And in general, having a routine of going out in the morning, getting some fresh air, really waking up your body so that throughout the day, and some of the other things we're going to talk about, your body will be more on a regular schedule to be able to naturally want to go to sleep at night. I used to be somebody, especially through high school, especially even through college, I wouldn't wake up and have a morning routine where I was going out and getting sunlight or even any sort of movement. I would wake up and I would look at a screen and I would scroll until I had to get up, and then maybe I would go to school under harsh lights, or maybe I would go to the gym and weight train, which is not a bad thing that we have to go to school. It's not a bad thing that you want to go weight train, but it is great for the body to just wake up in the morning, not hit your eyes, hit your body with artificial light like from your phone, and instead outside for sunlight. The next thing that's really helpful for us to be able to be better prepared to go to sleep at night is to have some form of exercise throughout the day. I can always tell a difference of my body's ability to want to go to sleep or not, depending on if I did move my body that day. Now, I try, even on the days where I'm not getting into the gym and weightlifting, or if I don't have a Pilates class, or if I just needed a recovery day, I'm still getting outside and moving my body by having a simple walk. I am doing stretching. I am moving my body. It's not that we need to exhaust our bodies so that we are so tired at night, but this definitely can push our body's desire to want to sleep at night, which is what we want. We need sleep. The next thing is caffeine control. I guess you can skip this step if you do not intake any caffeine, but it has been shown that it takes anywhere from 5 to 6 hours for the body to clear caffeine out of your bloodstream. And even then, it's been shown that caffeine is not even completely out of your system. So trying your best, if you're gonna have caffeine, to have it earlier in the day. I personally think it is better. And what I like to do though as well is make sure that I do eat something before I have caffeine, so that I am not spiking my cortisol, I am not spiking the adrenaline in my body to the point where I'm super wired in the morning and then I'm crashing midday. Maybe I'm taking a nap, maybe I don't have energy to go for an exercise or a workout, and then, you know, at the end of the night, I'm not even really tired because I've kind of really messed up the rhythm that my body naturally wants to go through. So this is just something to consider. Try and move your caffeine earlier in the day. Maybe bring it down to 1 cup instead of 2. Maybe find alternatives as well. If you are somebody, for me especially, if I ever feel a dip of energy and I want that second cup throughout the day, like later after lunch or into the evening, I try to supplement with something that has either a lower caffeine percentage, so something like a matcha, or sometimes I will have my Magic Mind shots. They have a little bit of matcha, they have nootropics, they have a lot of things for immunity in there. It's really not something that has any sort of caffeine that's going to mess up your sleep realistically. I also sometimes will make this B complex ginseng drink from Moon Juice, and it's really just a natural energizer. And also I like the fact that when I'm supplementing with something like a B complex ginseng little drink that has vitamins and nutrients for my body, that doesn't have caffeine and it's gonna like completely spike me and get me all wired, I like knowing that I'm taking something like that versus just giving myself another hit of caffeine that I know isn't really gonna do anything for me. And the last thing to consider during the day is when you are eating. Now on my channel, I am very much so not about food rules and restricting yourself and hyper obsessing about food. We don't want it, we don't need it. It actually causes a lot of internal stress, which can affect our sleep, so we don't want that. But if you are eating right before you go to sleep, your body needs to take some energy to be able to digest your food, which is not a problem, but sometimes that can definitely keep you awake. And not even that, maybe, you know, you're feeling it in your belly, or you're full, or you're whatever. Even if this is just a beautiful, nourishing meal, I try not to eat right before I go to sleep, which we're gonna talk about setting up a sleep schedule, but that's just something to think about. So in order to start your night routine, I think it's very important that you know yourself and you know how many hours you need for sleep. And this might take you a little bit to kind of think about, on average, how many hours do you feel rested at? Is it 6 hours? Is it 7? Is it 8? You know, there's a lot of research. There's a lot of people saying 8 hours, 7 hours, this, that. I think it can definitely vary. Personally, for me, 7.5 to 8 hours of sleep, that really is where the sweet spot is for me. So knowing that, knowing I need let's say 8 hours of sleep, that's where I can create my sleep schedule. So if you need 8 hours of sleep, but you have to get to school, to work, or you just want to be up at a certain time, you need to do the math to see, okay, well, what time do I actually need to be going to sleep at so I can wake up, let's say at 6 a.m. so I have that 8 hours and I'm rested. So for me, I'll give you an example. I need to get to sleep by 10 o'clock so that I can wake up at 6 a.m. I'll have enough sleep, and that's the time that I actually want to wake up at. If I had to wake up at 5 a.m., then I would make sure that I'm sleeping at 9 p.m., this, that. And obviously it depends on how much time that I personally think that I need to actually sleep. So thinking about how many hours you feel rested and you feel good at, obviously we do not need to be perfect, but knowing that is so crucial, because then you need to think about when your night routine is actually gonna start. So I'm gonna give you the example of I need to be essentially snoozing at 10 p.m. If I have to be snoozing at 10 p.m., my night routine is not starting at 10 p.m. My night routine is at least starting at 9 p.m. Why? Because there's steps that I wanna take in order for me to wind down my body to signal it that it needs to go to sleep. And I know if I just jump into bed as soon as I turn off my phone, not only does my body need a few little things that we're gonna talk about to help it really calm down, I just know that I'm not actually gonna be snoozing the moment my head hits the bed. So I really wanna adjust that timing. So I wanna have you think about something for a second. And this is something that I had to think about too. When you go to the gym, do you walk right in the gym and you start deadlifting 200 pounds? Or do you go into the gym? Do you go on the treadmill maybe for 5 minutes? Do you do some dynamic stretching? Do you open up the hips? Do you move the arms? Do you get the bands and do some glute activation? And then do you do the deadlift? Yes, you do. Well, you should, obviously. We know that we should really prime our bodies before we go into something where we're expecting our body to perform very optimally. Or let's say you're a girly and you get what I am saying. Is it better to just jump into things full force with a man? Or is it better that we take our time? You know what I mean? In the bed, maybe we're kissing a little bit, we're like cuddling, like we're easing ourselves into the thing. All right? Yes, this is more important here. Things become so amazing and just beautiful when you take your time with things. I think the same thing is true when it comes to sleep. Now, there are some people who can just like knock out like that. That's great for you. That also still doesn't mean that their nervous systems are regulated. That doesn't also mean that they're getting like the best sleep. But even if they are, whatever, we're clearly not those people. For me, I know that there's certain things that I need to be able to feel ready for bed so that my body just naturally falls asleep. So everyone is gonna be different. The same way you're gonna need to warm up a certain way at the gym, depending on what you're doing, or what you need in the bedroom from somebody and for how long. Obviously, everything depends. But here's some things that I do to set my body up for success. The first thing is I completely set the vibe. So during the day, we either have artificial light on or maybe we don't have any lighting, whatever. I think it's really good to change the lighting in your apartment, in your room, from something that's super, super bright to something that's more dim lit. So around 9 p.m., I will switch my lamps from something that is either really harsh or really bright, and I turn down the brightness. I change it to more warm tones. Sometimes I change it to a different color just depending on my mood. I actually have these light bulbs that connect to an app that allows you to change, you know, whether it's like white or warm, or you can change it to any color that you want. As you can see in my background right now, it's actually like a pink color, and I change it depending. I have one in my studio as well for the podcast, and I always have it set on blue because the background of my podcast is all blue. By the way, I do have a podcast. If you are new, the Glow Up Secrets podcast on my podcast channel. You can also listen to it on Spotify or Apple. But changing the lighting in your room, in your house, I swear does wonders. I used to never really do this, but now that I do this, I can always feel the difference when I don't actually do this. I also do this with my phone. I make sure my phone is on dark mode. I make sure my phone is on the warm tone instead of the light tone, and I also bring the lighting down. Another thing that I do is I stop stimulating my nervous system so much. And for me, this looks like not having any charged conversations, whether that be any sort of arguments, talking about work, talking about things that stress you out, talking about plans, or just things that you're not even going to be able to deal with in the moment right now, along with no longer scrolling on TikTok and taking in so much information or taking in so many people's thoughts and opinions or answering a bunch of DMs, like I kind of like shut down the world from my body, my senses, my mind. This doesn't mean that I don't ever talk to anyone during this hour. It's just very like lighthearted conversations, but I do make sure that I am not doing stuff like scrolling on TikTok, because that really just like dries up the stress in me. If I do want to listen to somebody or something though, especially because I do live alone, I don't like to like stay in silence forever. I will either listen to any sort of like calming music, whether that be like lo-fi music, the hip hop, or like jazz music. Or if I do want to listen to somebody, I'm listening to somebody who I can just play in the background where they're not really, it's not about them stressing me out, but them like sparking all these ideas where I feel like I need to like rebrand my life, or I need to like start this new self-development thing, like blah, blah, blah. I try not to do too much of that. So obviously you're gonna have to think about the things that really trigger your nervous system to kind of go more in the awake state, trying your best to put those aside, turn off the phone, put the phone on do not disturb. That's another thing that I do, is put it on do not disturb. So that way when people do text me, even if I am awake, I am less inclined to like answer, because I'm not even seeing when they are sending me a bunch of messages. The next thing that I do, and this has two parts, is clearing my physical energy and also clearing my mental energy. So let's talk about physical energy. I think it really does something to your mind, body, and soul when you create a clean environment, a clean space. This is just, again, a signal to your body that, you know, we're gonna go to sleep. There's just a ritual, a routine. Your body gets used to it and your body likes routine, but also so that you can have a clean environment in the morning, because obviously when you wake up in the morning and things are clean and, you know, everything is in its place, you're definitely more set up for success. So I like to have a little bit of like a 10 to 15 tidy. I always like to do my dishes. I very rarely leave my dishes dirty so that I can like have it in the morning to do. I don't like to do that. I am not perfect. Like I said though, there might be times where I'm absolutely exhausted and I don't want to do it. Or maybe there's like 3 dishes and it just doesn't make sense and whatever. But for the most part, I'm making sure that my kitchen is clean. I'm making sure that my space is clean. And really, it doesn't take that long for us to do. This is something, again, that can take like 10 to 15 minutes within your 1 hour night routine that you can do for yourself. And this really energetically is clearing physical space for you. And self-care also goes under this, in my opinion. Doing your skincare, washing off any of the gross dirt, the city little particles on your face, taking a shower, of course, doing your hair, just getting your body prepared, like physically getting your body prepared for sleep. This is also a time where I do sometimes like to listen to like maybe my favorite YouTuber who is like more chill and like calm, or I like to listen to music. So, you know, I don't feel like it's very lonely, but I am, again, signaling to my body that it's time for rest. And then of course, clearing mental energy. So after I clear my physical space, I make sure everything is organized, everything is cleaned. I like to do a journal practice. Sometimes I will take my schedule. So if I feel like I have a lot of anxiety or a lot of overwhelm because I have a lot of things going on, I like to look at my schedule and kind of get all my thoughts on paper, make sure everything is organized so that I'm not bringing any of this mental clutter into bed. But also journaling out my emotions, my thoughts, my desires. I'm working on my beliefs, my self-concept, whatever it is that I want to work on. If I'm having negative thoughts that day, or if I'm having great thoughts and I want to continue to have great thoughts, I want to write all of that on paper. So again, I don't have to bring it to bed and then think and ruminate on these things. And I used to do that all the time. Before I had this practice of, you know, getting all my mental out on a piece of paper, I would just bring it into bed and ruminate on situations and things over and over for a good hour. And then I would wake myself up by doing that. And like, no wonder I wasn't having good sleep. This is also a good time to just think about your day. I think a lot of us, we just move so quickly throughout the day. We don't even take a second to consider, what did we do today? What went really well? What am I grateful for? And over time, when you don't do this, sometimes a lot of anxiety can be built up and we're like, why do I have so much anxiety? Why am I stressed all the time? Well, you're not even giving yourself a second, a few nights out of the week to really look at like what you've been doing and, you know, being grateful for the things that you do have and reminding yourself and celebrating the things that you have done. We're so addicted sometimes to just focusing on all the negative, focusing on all the lack. I just think that we don't need to have that type of mental energy, going to sleep, waking up, any of that. So starting to have a practice can be very helpful. I did make a video on how to change your self-concept on the podcast, which I'll have linked down below. I also have an entire ultimate journal guide video down below I'll have on my main channel. Also, if you are somebody who likes to read a book, sometimes I will do this, whether that is a self-development book or any sort of book. I will do this around this time and take some notes as well. I find that that's good to kind of like bring yourself into something that you really want to learn or whatever. And then again, you're getting that out of the way. Now, if you are interested in a self-development book, then I have one that you can pick up, which is my book, The Ultimate Globe Guide, a guide to self-growth, self-care, and becoming the best version of you. The main reason why I am suggesting this book though is because it does actually have like little journal prompts in it, so you can do lots of reflections depending on what it is that we're talking about in this book. I talk about self-sabotage, reparenting. This book is really a guide to healing, a guide to rebuilding your self-worth. So if you are interested, you can pre-order my book now. It is releasing January 30th. If you do pre-order it, you will get a free journal guide, a shadow work journal guide, and all the information will be down below. So after I've set my vibe, I have cleared out physical energy, I have cleared out the mental energy. This is really where I'm bringing it into the room. I'm making sure that my whole environment is just very conducive and very like giving me like a big warm like rock or like hug so that I can go to sleep. And yes, I know it sounds like we're just like little babies here, but we are, okay? So it has absolutely been shown. Dr. Huberman says this, so like, I mean, anything he says goes, but this has been shown time and time again that sleeping in a cooler room, a few degrees cooler than you usually do, helps bring down your body temperature, which allows you to be able to fall asleep and stay asleep. Your body temperature is actually very important to your sleep, which I never knew. I used to always be somebody, I still am somebody who's a pretty cold girly. Like I'm usually always wearing sweaters, always have the heat on, but at night, I always make sure to make my room cool. So if you don't have AC, then you can just get a fan or you can open up a window, whatever it is. Get your room a little bit cooler than it usually is. And at first when I used to do this, I didn't like it because of course I want to be warm, but you are going to be warm. You can still use your blankets, but you still want your room to just be a little bit cooler. So I always make sure that my room is cool. I also always put on my humidifier. Now, a humidifier is great for sleep because especially in the winter months when the air is really dry, that can definitely cause issues with breathing, but it can also cause skin issues, all that kind of stuff. So I personally think that it is supportive and it helps me. This is not something that you need in order to sleep, obviously. I got my humidifier from Canopy, and on the top of the humidifier, it has this little cube where you can put essential oils on it. So I put essential oils on it and it like comes out and it makes my room smell just super good. And these are just all signals again to the body that is ready for sleep. So if you have a humidifier, that is a great thing to utilize or pull out if you do not already have it out. And my humidifier actually acts as a white noise machine. It's not too loud depending on like which setting I put on it. It's not even really loud, but you can hear it a little bit, and it actually is very soothing for me. And white noise was something that really started to help me go to sleep, especially around college when I was living in an environment where I had like roommates and like it was chaotic. I was such a light sleeper, and having white noise really helped that, be able to drown out the sound. So you can find YouTube channels, you can find apps that have white noise if you don't have like a humidifier or whatever. And I would suggest you trying that out if you struggle with being able to fall asleep. I also like to use my sleep pillow mist. This is not needed, like I said, but I have it, so I'll just spray my pillows a little bit. But the reason why I'm even saying that is it's not like this sleep mist is the thing that's making you go to sleep, but it is creating a routine, a signal to your body that every night when I smell, this lavender smell, my body knows, okay, it's time to sleep. So those are just small little things that I do to make my room just a little bit more cute and cozy and smell nice. Now, like I said, some of these tips that I've been talking about, I usually start around 9 p.m. so that I can make sure that I'm getting into bed and easily fall asleep around 10 p.m. But it has been shown, another thing that I learned from Dr. Huberman is we tend to have a spike of energy 1 hour before we go to bed. And I'm sure you know, or you've felt sometimes before you go to sleep, it's like you were really tired, and then as you're like getting ready to go to sleep, or maybe you aren't, but maybe you are, you all of a sudden like have more energy again. Dr. Huberman says push past that. That's sometimes a normal spike, and don't feed into it, because sometimes I would feed into it. I would be really tired, let's say around like 8 p.m. My body's like, you know, getting exhausted, and then I start doing my night routine and I'm feeling kind of like awake again, and then I would feel awake and I'm like, oh, okay, well, it's kind of early, so let me just go back on my phone, you know, or let me just like send another voice note to my friend, or let me have more conversation, or let me grab this snack because I'm feeling a little bit hungry and, you know, I'm awake again. push past it. That's something that I have done now, and it doesn't take me long before I start feeling tired again. So that's just something to note. And the last thing, or the last few things that I want to touch on, are things that tend to happen as you're getting into bed. So in a perfect world, you do all your routines and you set up your bed and your humidifier, and then you get into bed and you lay down and then you just slowly go to sleep. But for many of us, that's not what happens. For many of us, we tend to ruminate on things that have happened during the day, things that are happening tomorrow, or we maladaptive daydream. And what that is, which I didn't really know until I learned, was creating scenarios that you are daydreaming about. So maybe it's like you're thinking about your new crush and you're thinking about like what you're gonna wear when you see him, or like playing out different scenarios that might not ever happen, or like pitching yourself on stage dancing, or like doing this career, or like all these certain circumstances, daydreaming essentially. Now, if you kind of let your mind go there, your mind will bring you and live out so many different types of scenarios for a very long time. I would spend hours doing this when I especially was in high school, playing out these scenarios of things, until I realized, oh my God, I am losing hours of sleep because I cannot stop thinking. So I want to talk about a few things that have helped me over the years not do that daydreaming, or even if it's not daydreaming, it's just like ruminating and stressing over things that I really just cannot control in that moment. One is just telling myself the mere fact and logic that I can think about scenarios all day, but at the end of the day, they are not gonna play out exactly word for word or picture by picture the way that I actually think. So I'm honestly just wasting my time trying to think about all the ways in which something is going to work out. So like, just like the logical side of it, like there's not even a point. Like, it's not to like bash on your dreams or anything, whether you want to like think about your crush or like think about something that you want to happen in your life. It's almost like stop stripping yourself the actual experience that you will experience in your life, and understand when it happens, it is not even gonna happen the way you picture it, exactly word for word or picture for picture. So why are we spending our time doing that? It just like logically doesn't make sense. And also, something that helped me stop doing that is understanding why I maladapted daydreamed in the first place. Now, there's many reasons why, and I'm not saying I know why you do it, and I'm not even fully saying I know, but I have made some correlations, especially when I used to do this in high school. I was somebody who didn't have a lot of self-worth. I lived in my head a lot. I spent a lot of time online. I didn't really live my life. I always thought that I, needed to like look pretty or like have a bikini body before I could like live my dream life, this, that, and the third. I was very much so always in my head. And so because I didn't look at myself as somebody that could live her life, or somebody that was pretty, or somebody that could have the guy actually like her or have that career or that dream life, because I didn't have it in my immediate reality, I would just dream about it. So it's not necessarily a bad thing, right? You're actually dreaming of a life that you really want. And that's not something to get mad at yourself about, but it's just to see that you're kind of using this as a way to escape, right? Escape reality. I was escaping the fact that I didn't like myself. I didn't like my circumstances in my home environment. It was no wonder I did so much of that dreaming. But realistically, it's not about looking at your certain circumstance in your life and saying, oh, this is all it's gonna be, or oh, yeah, see, I feel that I'm ugly, so like that's just what it's gonna be. But it's like, okay, if I want this dream life, if I want the cute guy to date me, or if I want to love myself more and look at myself in the mirror and say, oh my God, she's beautiful, or if I want that career path, or if I want to have those friends, whatever it is you want, you can have that. But what requires you to actually have that life is for you to get up and take action instead of being in your head so much. There's no point on continuing dreaming all day, spending your time on Pinterest all day, without you taking any action. And the moment I started to actually focus on taking that action, being in the present moment, although uncomfortable at times, that's when I actually started to become the girl of my dreams. I literally was dreaming of a girl that I am now. I just didn't even really know it. Now, another thing that can help if you struggle with being able to stop yourself from doing that daydreaming scenario work, or you just are constantly stressed about things. Like you're thinking about today, thinking about tomorrow, thinking about life, you're just stressed. Something that's really helped me, even if you're like chronically ill or you have any health issues, which I've had as well, sleeping with night meditations can be so big. And what this is really doing is regulating your nervous system. And even when it comes to daydreaming and stuff, your nervous system is a little bit dysregulated because you're trying to control and create a picture in your head. You're trying to feel safe, okay? Somewhere in your body, somewhere in your nervous system, there's unsafety. Lots has to do with trauma. We're living out trauma all of the time. This is not something to be afraid of, but it's just, we live in a life in general where we're constantly in fight or flight. Our nervous systems are dysregulated, caffeine, not sleeping, this, that, da, 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 da. So focusing on nervous system regulation by falling asleep with night meditations can be very, very huge. It can help you get out of your head. It can help you listen to somebody else. And it can also help your body regulate so that your nervous system can be in rest and digest. And when your nervous system is in rest and digest, you're able to go to sleep. You're able to shut off. When you're in fight or flight, you're releasing cortisol. You're releasing adrenaline. Your body literally thinks it needs to be awake because there are threats. When you're thinking scenarios in your mind as well, you're triggering your nervous system to stay in fight or flight. Oh my God, something is a threat. I need to be awake. It's no wonder you can't fall asleep. So one YouTube channel that has literally helped me heal so much is called The Mindful Movement. They have sleep meditations ranging from like a small little meditation if you just want to like listen to something like a 20-minute one, up to an hour, up to 8 hours, okay? So I have a little tablet that I actually put under my pillow at times when I really need it. And I just click on the millions of freaking night meditations that they have. They have them for anxiety. They have them for chronic illness, heartbreak. They have it for worry. They also have ones if you are in this place of gratitude, or you want to feel more gratitude, or you want to feel more love, or you want to feel more abundant. They literally, whatever freaking thing you are stressing about, type it in on their YouTube and I can guarantee you will find something. And they're all a little bit different, but usually what happens is this girl, her name is Sarah Raymond, and her voice is very just like, I don't know, I'm able to fall asleep with her voice. What she'll do is bring you through a guided meditation. So she'll bring you to your senses. She'll tell you to close your eyes, sense the feeling of the energy or the room or the sounds, and she'll bring your awareness to your body, which is really important when it comes to regulating your nervous system. She'll bring you through a different scenario in which actually addresses more of your subconscious mind. I'm not gonna get too much into it. And just the mere fact of you going through this meditation, at least for me, that's when I start to get really sleepy. I'm out of my head. I'm really like getting guided by her voice. And then if you choose like an 8-hour meditation, what happens is the meditation happens. She will bring the meditation to a place where she's no longer really talking or guiding you because you're basically falling deeper into sleep. But usually it'll just be like meditation music with some affirmations that she'll say throughout it, but not to the point where it's really like waking you up. So that has been an absolute game changer. I just think that it can be helpful for people who really are in this point where you're really, really in your head and you're not able to kind of like throw logic at yourself, or you're not able to kind of like stop the scenario because maybe your nervous system needs something, needs a voice, needs something. So I would definitely suggest checking out that YouTube channel. And just one reminder when it comes to sleep anxiety in general, because some people will get that, kind of like falls in that same category. But something that I used to struggle with was anxiety about not getting enough sleep. So like once I understood that it's important to get sleep and I want to get a bunch of things done the next day and I want to have a lot of energy and I know it was good for health and wellness and healing, because I struggled sometimes with falling asleep, mind you, I didn't have all the things that I did now. I would stress out about putting my head to the pillow and realizing like I wasn't falling asleep. And then it's like 30 minutes, an hour, I'm getting anxious. I'm like, damn, like I don't even feel tired anymore. Now it's 11 o'clock, now it's 12 o'clock. Oh my God, I have 3 hours before I have to get up, 4 hours before I have to get up. That created even more stress. And I think you know this, like, when you know you have to wake up super, super early for something, it's harder to fall asleep. And something that always really helps me, an affirmation I should say, that I tell myself is, you know what? It's okay if you don't get enough sleep. It is not gonna be the end of the world. Yes, will you be tired? Yes, probably. But is it gonna be the end of the world? No. We have to release control sometimes. Sometimes control can really like make us feel great and safe, and we want that. We're always looking for control, but sometimes it ends up doing the opposite in the sense of creating more stress and not being able to fall asleep because you're stressing about the fact that, oh my God, now I only have 3 hours to go to sleep, Let it go. It's okay if you don't get your 7 hours of sleep, your 8 hours of sleep. It's gonna be fine. Tell yourself whatever it is that you have to do the next day, that you're still able to do it. Doesn't mean that you're gonna be perfect, but at the end of the day, are we gonna die? No. And sometimes we just need to tell ourselves that. Sometimes we seriously need to say, which is so logical, we know this, but realistically, it's not gonna be the end of the world if I don't get my 8 hours of sleep, okay? And that just ends up being very, very freeing, and it allows me to not have so much pressure to fall asleep at a particular time to wake up. So those are all of my tips that I implement to allow me to have very beautiful, deep sleep. And one thing I will say, well, I've already said this. One is I'm not perfect, so I don't do this every single night, and things definitely do change. But two, give yourself time with whatever it is that you are trying to implement in your life. This took me a while to first come up with a routine, but on top of that, whatever it was I was adding into my routine, it took my body like time to trust that this was more of a cyclical thing, okay? It's not gonna be tomorrow that you implement every single thing and then automatically you're sleeping the best ever every single night of your life, right? Your body needs to catch up. Your body needs to trust the cycle that you're trying to put it through. Give yourself time. But I can honestly say, now that I have a routine that's enjoyable and I know that I'm nourishing myself, my body, my mind, and I have something that is for me, I don't dread going to sleep. I don't dread going to sleep because I have this cute little routine that I've created for myself. I don't dread going to sleep because, you know, I have tools in place if I do struggle with going to sleep. And on top of that, I'm no longer putting so much pressure on myself to like have the perfect sleep routine. And I now look forward to sleep because I know I'm actually getting rested sleep. I no longer wake up in the middle of the night and not being able to fall asleep. Actually, I guess this is one more thing. I used to wake up in the middle of the night, and when I would do that, I would really struggle with going to sleep. And in those moments, I would use the same nervous system regulation tips that I used at night. So I would tell myself, it's fine if I don't even fall back asleep, it's fine, it's okay. Definitely do not go on your phone, but also grabbing one of those sleep meditations and using that, and I fall back to sleep. And the more times that I did that for myself, I can wake up in the middle of the night, which sometimes I do to go pee. I come right back and I trust myself, like my body just, like, it's like I created this identity of being somebody who can wake up, go to the bathroom if she needs to, and she goes back to sleep every single time. I used to never be like that. When I would wake up in the middle of the night, I'd be like, fuck, like I'm done for because I can't go back to sleep. So again, it's a lot of mindset work that you really want to work on, but over time, you can do it. I know you can. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Please let me know if you want to see anything else from me regarding sleep or any other health and wellness videos. I have a lot coming out. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.